When we hear the word psychopath, we automatically assume serial killers and rapists. But why do we think this, and should we care? I've been researching to find out the ethics involved in a psychopath's portrayal in cinema, and if it's a danger to education when the art that imitates life is wrongly misleading. But is it okay since cinema is made for pure entertainment? Or should we be taking psychopathy and the portrayals of the characters more seriously in the representation of them? See, psychopathy is a personality disorder which can be interlined with mental illness and psychopathic behaviour. Psychopathy is where a person lacks empathy and guilt but comes in many different traits and characteristics. However, psychopaths have, said by the Society of the Scientific Study of Psychopathy, a constellation of traits. They are people who are highly intelligent, cunning, callous, patient, well-organised and pathological liars. They feel the need to be in absolute power and will use their charm to manipulate other people's emotions to get what they want, which can be for information, sexual gratification or excitement. The many realistic psychopaths in films have educated us on what human beings are capable of. Two of my top favourite examples of a realistic portrayal of a psychopath are the characters Anton in No Country for Old Men and Amy in Gone Girl. I've been looking to see if there's a cultural shift on how psychopaths are presented in cinema and whether or not it's improving. Such as, when the two remarkable films Psycho and Silence of the Lambs came into the cinemas, the audience assumed that these characters were what a psychopath was, mainly because of the title Psycho and because of all the monstrous killings. However, the fact is, not all psychopaths are killers, nor are they crazy.
He's been saying very dark things, and then saying, just kidding, a lot. It started to seem kind of crazy.
Psychopaths are not crazy. They're fully aware of what they do and the consequences of those actions.
My research has shown, however, that Norman Bates was definitely not a psychopath. He likely had mental health problems such as psychosis, as well as a multi-personality disorder due to his hallucinations and delusions.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
And the same with Hannibal Lecter, where his superintelligence and characteristics can be unrealistically over the top. I'm inconclusive if the character is a faithful interpretation of a psychopath. However, I personally feel that Hannibal in the TV series ticks more of the boxes to being a realistic psychopath, and this may be due to more research into psychopathy as time progresses.
If you look within the good attempted portrayals would be the Hannibal Lecter series of films. The most recent ones are not quite the best in terms of good films, but in terms of psychopathy,
we're talking about that, yeah.
You know, it's all this, you know, this sort of this behavior, and they don't, you know, it's not like that. But the original Hannibal Lecter, played by Christopher Cox, was fantastic. That's a real level 40, careful, bright, intelligent, manipulative, turning it on and off the charm psychopath.
There are many films in cinema where people believe that characters are realistic portrayals of a psychopath when they are not. In the article The Conversation, Scott has stated that film can confuse students with inaccurate portrayals. Hollywood distorts history. He also explains that most young people are savvy enough to know that movies and TV are fictionalized, but that doesn't mean they know how to keep history and Hollywood separate. With more research, I found Meredith's academic work on the ethics of therapy in Hollywood film, where she comments on how there is a threat of unethical behaviour displayed in film, and that people could take what they see on screen and adapt it as their own truth. I do think this is an issue for those who don't know the true facts of a psychopath and accidentally becomes misled into thinking that the character in film is a realistic portrayal. But now I see this shift in modern day where a lot more films and television shows are addressing characters with not only the correct terminology, but also the correct subtype of psychopath.
The more modern portrayals are getting better, but most of the portrayals are people who are these malignant narcissists with antisocial personality disorder. So the couple in Natural Born Killers, I said these are psychopaths. They're not really psychopaths. They have antisocial personality disorder. They have mania. They're taking drugs, and they have a level of narcissism. They really is not psychopathic. Psychopaths are smooth. People like that have been in cinema or we've thought about are cartoons of mixes of personality disorders and criminality.
Robert explains in his book, Reframing Theology in Film, that the implication is that realistic or historical films might exert an influence, but by choosing not to see such films, escapism remains as a primary purpose of the practice of cinema going. People come to the cinema for pure entertainment and escapism, and that I completely agree with. However, in Meredith's academic work, she states in the context of learning aggression, if one were to substitute unethical behaviour for violence or aggression, it is easy to see the parallels. Through repeated viewing of such a plethora of unethical and demographically limited clinical moments, viewers might learn that this is the way of real seasons and make them less sensitive to understanding true ethical behaviour. The more we practice ethically, the more we weaken cinematic stereotypes. I think that the ethics in fiction and film will always stay as an open discussion, as I believe that both sides have strong advantages. Storytelling will always drive the film, so maybe we don't have to be too reluctant on fiction. I always believe, however, that people are becoming more educated on the subject and aware of the audience's opinions when making movies. Even though there are still some characters being misrepresented in modern day, there is an emerging assumption that the characters with psychopathy are being portrayed of how they are in real life, and due to my research on this, I believe that the change in attitude towards psychopaths in film is getting better.